Thank you, David, for joining me for coffee before bed.
Yeah.
So, I was recently editing the previous coffee break that me and you had, and also listening to Natural One Gaming. And, why'd you go with potatoes? Most times I've heard it's with tomatoes.
I mostly went with potatoes because I don't like tomatoes. And I had always heard everyone use tomatoes as well. And I just don't like tomatoes. That's pretty much it. Do you have a cup of coffee or do you have a tea with you?
I have the last remnants of my coffee from this morning.
Okay, I'm down with that. I made myself a cup of tea. Um,
I
I've been
don't
trying to
drink
drink
as much
tea
coffee
more
as
than
you do.
coffee.
If you were to If you were to go back in time and redo your podcast, is there anything you would change?
Um, I've thought about that actually. It's kind of funny because you mentioned it because I was actually thinking about the podcast today because I opened up my Google Drive and I found I think all of the files there. Um, I didn't listen to any of them. I just noticed them. But I thought about it. I don't think I would really change anything. The way that I had formatted things, I'd thought about a lot, like, for a long time, before I actually ended up doing anything. So I don't think I would really change anything. I feel like if I went back, I would redo those episodes. I wouldn't like pick up where I left off. I'd redo them with like my new knowledge and my kind of new ideas and a little bit more confidence on the microphone and stuff like that. Um, and as a game master, I've definitely picked up my game since then. Um, I've learned a lot over the last couple of years. Like more, I've learned more about DMing over the last couple of years than I'd ever really learned before. And I think the thing I would attribute that to the most is playing with different players, like having a bit more variety in the people that sit down at the table, has helped me has helped me grow as a storyteller and as a writer.
Yeah, you have a game Sundays or every second Sunday, correct?
Yeah, right now I'm running two different games, and they are on alternating weekends. So um, every other Saturday and every other Sunday, which is it's. I don't have a game every week if you count like Saturday and Sunday in the same week. It alternates. Um, but yeah, I have two different games with two different groups of players, and only one of the players. Um, only there's only one player that's in both of the two games.
I know you. I know you've mentioned to me in the past that you don't like being a player, but it's a shame that your games are on those days and at the times that you've told me they're at because I would invite you to the Pathfinder 2e game or the Fallout D20 game or the first edition D&D game or cuz I know you said you don't like being a player in D&D, but there has to be a system you would like to try out. And I know my group would try that, but you're busy on the weekends. You see why I find that a shame?
Yeah, I get it. Um, like as for, I would definitely take like if I had the extra time. Like now that I'm older and I've got kids and stuff. It's funny because I always used to think that when I got older, I would end up with less time and more money. Because at the time I had lots of time and no money. And now it just seems that I have no time and no money. So, but I managed to make do. I'm getting more free time and I'm starting to save up some more money, I guess. But um, I I don't think I would take you up on like a Fallout D20. It's not my jam. I don't mind the Fallout games, but I'm not particularly keen on the whole like the setting for the genre. Pathfinder Second Edition, I really didn't like Second Edition when I sat down to like play with it, right? Because I did get to be a player in two separate Second Edition games. They were pretty short-lived games, but I got to play for a while, a couple levels at least. And I didn't like it when I sat down to read it, but when I actually like got down to playing it and I started to figure out how it worked and how the numbers worked and stuff like that, I got into it so much that it actually kickstarted me into sort of, I guess, starting over in this custom system that I've mentioned before. Because there were so many ideas that Pathfinder had done that I felt like they had done better than D&D. Like 5e was a huge improvement on 3 and 4, in my opinion. Mostly because it simplified things in a way that made it super accessible. And things were watered down enough that it allowed for a lot more, like, what do we used to call it? Fudge or fluff? A lot more fluffing of things, right? Like, you could, within the rules, argue that one effect looked or felt a different way than another effect, or you could easily kind of like re-theme it, re-skin it, so to speak. I felt like 5e did a really good job at allowing that for us, right? Because we were almost like 90% of everything we did was all homebrew. But Pathfinder's mechanics, even though it was like way more specific, it allowed for like, or it does allow for just like way more customization. And the numbers are like, it's weird to get used to coming from D&D, or even like Exalted, like the dot system, that kind of thing. Like it's totally different from anything that I had ever played. But it's so simple because it's like adding ones. Like there's no, roll a d20 and add plus 23 to your check, and then cut that number in half, and then roll twice and take advantage, and fucking whatever else there was, right? Whatever else there is. There's no like weird reverse armor class stuff like that though. So it was just like, it's just, I would definitely play Pathfinder if I had the chance. But I don't know about if I would go take the time to learn another system or do a different type of game. It's just not my
Even
jam.
just as a player.
Yeah, even just as a player, like I managed to get into like after that Pathfinder game, I managed to get in as a player. I think I might have mentioned it at some point, in an online game. And that was fairly fun. Like I got into it. I had fun with it. But after a while my like DM side started to twitch. Like every time someone would make a call and I didn't agree with it, I never made a stink about it, right? I never really brought anything up. I would present my case and kind of walk away because I wasn't the DM, right? Because I know on the other side, I don't want people to make a big stink about it. My job is to keep the game going. So if you rules lawyer the game into the ground, or you like put a dead halt on the system and the rulings and stuff, it's just not fun. So when that would happen, I would just set it aside. But it started to bother me a little bit, until the point where I wasn't actively trying to get my character killed, but when my character did die, I was like, yeah, it's I'm gonna step out.
What was your character?
I have like four characters that I kind of like keep on the bench, so to speak. Um, that are always my like go-to because I can kind of build them in any system. So the character that I played was my half-orc druid, um, Nutrid, and I chose Nutrid because the setting was a like nautical one. Um, so it was sea themed, and Nutrid is in fifth edition. Nutrid's a druid, circle of the lands bracket, coast bracket. Um, but for the most part, she was always like a water themed druid. So it was like perfect fit. And the party didn't have a druid. I don't even think they had they had a spellcaster, but not to like support. They had like no support class. So when I got in there, I caused a lot of trouble because I know how druids work and I know how to like manipulate their spells and like make the most use out of some of their spells. Not like in a power gamey kind of way, but in like a I can like easily step through this challenge that the DM's made, and I don't know if I want to be the one to do that. So I would kind of sit back a little bit and then let the other players who had been in the game a little bit more often juggle through some stuff until it was like, okay, we've been here for like 30 minutes. I'm just going to cast Shape Stone and just walk through this problem. Or like, I'm going to cast this spell and get rid of the illusion. Or I'm going to cast this spell and now we've all got food. Or I'm going to cast a spell and no one has to worry about drowning today, like for a day. Um, so
So, it seems like you had fun with your druid, in short.
I had a lot of fun through it. Yeah.
Um, as I mentioned in at the beginning of this, I am finishing off my coffee and going to bed. I am going to do that now.
Okay. Well, good luck going to bed after finishing off your coffee.
Thank you for joining me.
Yeah. Have a good night.